Hey, Rebel Tribe, I'm back. And before we dive into today's episode, I want to get real with you because if you've been keeping count, you'll know I promise two podcast episodes a week. And lately, once again, that hasn't happened. Life happened, unexpected things, necessary things. And at one point, I found myself wondering once again if maybe this wasn't meant for me after all. Maybe I had bit off more than I could chew, or maybe I just couldn't keep up. Maybe I was a fraud. Yeah, that word. The one too many of us know all too well. You ever feel like that? Like you're standing on a stage about to speak your truth, and then suddenly you see him, one of the big names in your field, sitting in the front row looking at you. And you know what he's thinking because it's the same thing you're thinking. You don't belong here. You haven't done anything to deserve this. You're a fraud. Or maybe you've been nominated for an award, something you worked hard for, something that should make you feel proud. But instead of celebrating, you deflect. You tell the news, the media, it's no big deal. You don't agree to the interview. You downplay it all because deep down, you're scared that if you say yes, if you step into the spotlight for even a second longer, everyone will finally see what you've always feared to be true, that you don't deserve it, that you're a fraud. Well, I'm here today to tell you something important. That voice in your head, the one whispering you're not enough, it's not telling you the truth. It's telling you a story. And I almost listened to that story these last few weeks. I almost let it win, but I didn't, and I'm back. Maybe not perfectly on schedule, but I'm here. I'm still showing up. I'm still sharing. I'm still doing the work. Not because I've never doubted myself, but because I have. And I know you have too. So this episode is for anyone who's ever felt like giving up, anyone who's heard that voice of self doubt and thought maybe, just maybe, it was right. It's not. You are not a fraud. You are growing. You are learning. You are doing the thing, even if it's messy, even if you've paused, even if you've had to circle back. And me, I'm circling back with more episodes, more stories, and more truth. Because the Rebel Tribe isn't about perfection, it's about perseverance. It's about being honest, being brave, and showing up anyway. So let's get back to it. Welcome to today's episode of the Rebel Tribe podcast. I want you to take a deep breath with me right now. Inhale and exhale. Because today we're going to talk about something that so many of us deal with in silence. It creeps in quietly, wraps around our achievements, and whispers lies about who we are. It's called imposter syndrome. If you've ever looked at your own success and felt like it didn't belong to you, if you've downplayed your accomplishments or dodged recognition because deep down you believed you didn't deserve it, if you've ever thought they're going to find out I'm not as good as they think I am, then this episode is for you. Because here's the truth, crystal clear. You are not a fraud. You're someone who's experienced something so many high achievers do. It's not weakness. It's not failure. It's a condition called imposter syndrome. And you're not alone. Imposter syndrome is what happens when your mind plays tricks on you, making you believe that your success isn't real, that you don't belong, or that you've somehow fooled everyone into thinking you're more capable than you really are. It can be triggered by a lot of things. Feeling like the odd one out, growing up with critical or high expectations, past trauma, or simply that relentless little inner voice that loves to second guess everything you do. And let me tell you, it's sneaky. It doesn't just show up in your career or your business, it shows up in your relationships too. I remember a time in my own life after I was promoted unexpectedly into management. I'd already been doing the work, handling all the responsibilities my boss used to juggle. But when the title changed, when it was official, I felt completely unqualified. I thought they'd made a mistake. I questioned everything. But though nothing had changed in my actual work, my brain went into overdrive trying to convince me I wasn't ready, I wasn't good enough, I didn't deserve to lead. It wasn't until a colleague looked me straight in the eye and said, "You've already been leading, you just don't see it." And that's when it finally clicked. Imposter syndrome has this way of warping our self perception. It's like a funhouse mirror distorting our reflection. We don't see our skills or accomplishments clearly. Now, some of us use imposter syndrome as fuel. We tell ourselves we have to succeed, so no one ever finds out the truth. And when we hit that goal, we don't even stop to celebrate. We just move the finish line over and over again. Bigger, harder, more. Others, we procrastinate, not because we're lazy, but because we're terrified of being exposed. So we wait until the last possible minute and then tell ourselves, well, I could have done better if I'd had more time. Sound familiar? This fear doesn't stop at work either. It reaches into our friendships and our marriages. I used to believe that my value in friendship was tied to being easygoing and agreeable, not rocking the boat. I thought if I asked for too much or had strong opinions, they'd walk away. I didn't realize until much later that my friends loved me just as I was, not because of how much I contributed or how little I complained. The same thing can happen in romantic relationships. We believe we have to earn love by achieving more, by doing our part, by staying worthy of our partner's affection. And that's a heavy burden to carry. So, why do we feel this way? Sometimes it's childhood messaging, when love or praise only came after you did something impressive. Sometimes it's our identity. We've labeled ourselves the smart one, the responsible one, the overachiever, and we're scared to let go of that image, even if it's exhausting. But listen to me. Here's what I need you to hear loud and clear. You are not alone. Michelle Obama has talked about feeling like a fraud. Tom Hanks, Emma Watson, Maya Angelou, for Pete's sake. Icons, legends, have all said they struggled with imposter syndrome, not because they lacked talent, but because success doesn't cancel self-doubt. But should that doubt stop you? No, because the world is already full of women who never wrote their books, who never painted their vision, who never started the podcast or shared their story or built the business they dreamed of, because they were waiting to be ready, waiting to feel worthy, waiting until the voice in their head finally shut up. And I get it, I do. I almost let that voice stop me too. But today, I'm reminding both of us the world needs you now. It needs your story, it needs your truth, it needs your voice. You were made for this. Not when you feel qualified enough, not after another degree or another course or another milestone. Right now. So if imposter syndrome has been whispering in your ear lately, let this be your sign to shake it off. You are not a fraud. You are a force. Let's stop living small. Let's stop hiding behind not ready. Let's start standing in the light. I'm going to leave you with this. You were made to dream, to dance, to create, to lead. And the story of your life, it matters more than you know. So until next time, keep rising, keep showing up, and never, ever forget who you are.